It's being reported that NXT and WWE talent are depressed about the week of NXT news that we have had. I am Luke Owen, DAD, your Jam That Champion, and I'm joined by the hardest working person in all of sports infotainment, less than 500 followers away from 50K, and she's not dressed like a bank manager today, Denise Salcedo. How's it going, Denise?
Oh my God, so you know about the bank manager clothing thing?
I saw, yeah.
I was like, oh, this is terrible. But no, this is my pajamas, actually. I just put a sweater on, but what I have under was my pajamas because the show is so early, Luke.
Well, I mean, you say that as well. Like, I've got my PJs on, like, above. I'm wearing, like, a comfy cardigan. I'm wearing a t-shirt, but I'm legit wearing my pajama bottoms because when I had my shower today, the kid was having a nap, so I couldn't go into the room and get my jeans. So I just put my pajama bottoms back on.
So this is not fair. You get to blame the kid. I don't got anybody to blame by myself.
You got to blame early mornings. And technically you get to blame me because I've got you up this early.
That's true. And I literally messaged you like 15 minutes before the show. And I was like, hey, do we have a show today?
I know. I was going to bring that up as well because I thought it was delightful that you put you, the letter U, as in like, you know, do you and I have a show today? Or like, I said, cool, I'll see you later. The letter U instead of writing YOU. It was such like it felt like 2002 all over again. I thought it was quite delightful.
I think I always put that though, don't I?
I don't know. Like I don't think I've ever noticed it before. But yeah, you put a U.
Oh,
I got a shorthand version.
Oh no, and then I also had a spelling error, so I put cool. See you, I'm a bit. Lovely stuff.
Oh, it's delightful to have you back on the show. Unfortunately, we don't have fun news to talk about this week.
But do we have? We have plenty of news to talk about, though, that's for sure.
Good Lord, don't we just? So, there was a lot of talent released this week, both on camera and behind the scenes in NXT. And I mean, I'm just going to read this directly from Sean Ross Sapp's Fightful Select report that he had earlier this week, which was unanimously, the talent and staff familiar with the Performance Center, NXT, and NXT 2.0 have said this is directly to remove numerous Triple H hires, with the exception of Allison Danger. WWE officials we spoke to didn't deny this and even said as much in their statement in kinder terms. This is seen by almost everyone we spoke to as a dismantling of the NXT that existed under Triple H. Denise, I think some of this it seems fairly unsurprising given the NXT 2.0 changes. But what was your reaction to the news as it was coming out this week?
So prior to NXT 2.0 and just like even around the time that they made this announcement that, hey, we were going to be having NXT 2.0, blah, 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 right? I kept hearing, around the internet, I was seeing a lot of, Vince McMahon is punishing Triple H because he lost the quote unquote war. And I'm sure this is something that you heard and a lot of people were saying. And I just remember thinking like, oh, that's BS, like that's not true, whatever. Like I even chuckled a little bit at that. And as the weeks kept going, I kept seeing more of like, oh, this is punishment for losing the quote unquote war. And it kept going and it kept going. And there was times where I was like, that's funny. Like it probably is to a certain degree true, right? But I didn't really believe it, I think is what I personally found. I didn't really believe it. And then we go and we see more proof that it kind of feels like it is true. Like first of all, I get the business side of them saying like, oh, we have to change the NXT brand and, do something different with it. Personally, I think that they could have stuck to the exact same thing, modified it just a tad, all they really had to do is rewire a couple of things. And I think that things would have been, back on track. Honestly, that's what I think. But either way, so they did this, whole rebranding NXT 2.0 and then the releases that we're seeing. And I'm already starting to think like, okay, the people that are being released, you already know are Triple H people, right? Triple H hires are people that, were close to Triple H, etc. And then Sean Ross Sapp's Fightful Select report comes out and he essentially confirms that, hey, you know what? It is looking like that is the reason why these people were essentially released. And it really sucks when you look at that because it's like, it's so unfair to fire somebody, to let somebody go because of their association with the prior, person in charge or the prior regime, whatever you want to call it. Okay. Whatever you want to call it. It is completely unfair. And I get that they put out this statement that it's like, oh, this essentially happened because we're moving forward with the NXT 2.0 vision. And to do so, we got to move on with this vision. But here's the thing. Luke, that's making it seem like people are one-dimensional. Just because you were used to doing certain things a certain way and, booking the shows a certain way, going for certain talent, whatever the case may be, it's basically saying like, oh, these people, because they were, part of the black and gold era of NXT, it's like saying they're one-dimensional and they can't necessarily adapt to these new changes that we're making on NXT 2.0. And as we all know, that's not necessarily the case. So when you see that people are being released because they're quote unquote association with Triple H, it's really messed up. And you can apply this to any sort of form of whatever job any person is doing. If, God, I don't know, there were some changes on WrestleTalk tomorrow, and all of a sudden it was like, hey, you're out of a job because you know what, Luke liked you, so you're done. Instead of it being like, you know what, you were good at your job, you weren't good at your job. So it is very, very unfortunate.
It is. You mentioned the NXT thing. I was just listening to Sean's Q&A that he was doing on the Patreon, and someone asked him like, is this because of AEW and losing to AEW when they went head to head? And Sean said, I don't think it helped. It didn't work out, and it feels like Triple H is being punished for that. Whether he is or not, I don't know, but we are going to find out. And it's been, I think he was saying on that show that these Triple H wouldn't have been making these sorts of decisions. Like Stephanie would have been making these sorts of decisions because these are people that they like, and these are people that they like working with. Road Dogg, Regal. Like Ryan Katz is one that really stuck out to me because Dave Meltzer wrote about this in The Observer, saying Ryan Katz was involved with creative, even winning the Observer's Booker of the Year award with Triple H in 2015. He was also one of the key promo coaches. He and Triple H were the key creative forces during the period most would call the glory days of NXT, when they were able to tour nationally, draw big for takeovers, and put together some of the best pro wrestling major shows in US history. So your WWE, your Vince, your Nick Khan, your Pritchard, your Johnny Ace, whoever you are, you look at this guy, you could almost say you look at this Katz and you're like, well, he had a really good booking run, but we can't do anything with him now because we've got a new vision that we want to go ahead with. That just seems insane. That feels like that is a pointed decision to get rid of him and remove him from the NXT brand.
So in speaking of Ryan Katz, I do have a little bit of not necessarily insight, but a little bit of experience having, communicated with Ryan for a bit. So, I think it was maybe like either late 2019 or somewhere around 2020, probably 2020. I had been friends with Ryan Katz because I had been told by people like, hey, this is somebody you need to know. This is somebody you need to be aware of. So we were Facebook friends, but I never really approached them because, I get shy and I don't really approach people, etc. Right? You get me, Luke? And one day I'm minding my own business and bam, I get this like direct DM from Ryan Katz on Facebook. And I'm thinking to myself, my God, like, what is this? So I go and it's this message from Ryan, and he basically tells me, I'm going to paraphrase it, basically tells me that he notices me, he notices my work, and we had this conversation. And all I can say is that he was somebody that was saying good things about me when I obviously was not in that room. I haven't been in any of those rooms, but he was somebody that was saying a lot of good stuff about me and basically noticed the work that I was doing and appreciated the work that I was doing. And it was kind of crazy to have that from him. And so like him and Gabe Sapolsky, because Gabe Sapolsky was another person who also, behind the scenes, we message on like DMs and stuff like that, and had, talked about, my personal, career and all of that, right? So when I see that and you see people getting released and like kind of a little bit of how at least, just a little bit of the interactions the personal interactions that you've had, it sucks to see that because you're like, damn, like, from what from my experience, like this person was somebody that was, saying good things about you. This person was somebody that was, vouching for you, whatever, right? And that's just me. Like I'm on the outside. So you start to think about the talent on the inside. And from what I saw, like there was so much love and respect coming out for Ryan Katz, like so much love and respect. I saw a lot of people basically, talk about their own experiences and how they felt, having worked with him. I read his Facebook post. He wrote this very long message where he talked about, his career getting to WWE in the first place and, everything that he did there. And it was pretty nice. He was very grateful about all the experiences that he got with the company, all the talent that he had to work. And I believe in the bottom of the message, he even wrote like, hey guys, I left you a message, so-and-so somewhere. He mentions where. And then afterwards, basically just kind of giving them like a farewell message. But it's like, I can't imagine how hard that must be for the talent when you have somebody that you're used to working with that, just basically helps you grow, especially when you're so maybe not sure of your path and what things are going to happen and you're scared and you need some reinforcement. I feel like that was probably somebody that they had, and just like basically seeing all the responsibilities that he had, it's like you just can't, I don't know, it's crazy to me. It's crazy to me.
Dave Meltzer wrote in The Observer here, talent and others in the system were very depressed, with many wondering the future of the brand. William Regal was responsible for many getting chances, and he's one of the most knowledgeable people about wrestling worldwide and was heavily respected across the board. I can tell you that some of the biggest names in the business would to this day come to him for advice on wrestling and career decisions. So the thing there that we use it as the title in this and on the thumbnail, talent and others in the system were very depressed. And you can say, oh, that's just Dave, reporting there. SRS is saying the same thing. And I'm going to apologize now to one of our moderators, Rich, who just asked us to keep this PG. I'm also going to apologize in advance.
Oh, that was probably Vinny. My fault.
No. This is my fault here.
Oh.
I've got to apologize to Rich because he was just asking for us to keep it PG. I'm also going to apologize to editor Vinny because he's going to have to censor this out. But someone asked Sean, what's the morale like in NXT? And he said, it's shit. It's shit right now. And he said, it's not great among long-term people there. And people who left are like, I saw this coming. So, like, if you're part of the NXT 2.0 rebrand, if you're, say, like a Carmelo Hayes, if you're a Grayson Waller, if you're a Bron Breakker, and you are now being... I think fans are now just going to be negatively looking at anyone who's coming up through the NXT 2.0 thing because it's not the NXT that we loved. It's not the NXT that we liked. And what we are seeing is a systematic dismantling of a product that we liked because the people in charge didn't like the fact that, why didn't they like it? Because I know you can say it's the AEW thing, but I remember this was a few years back. This was maybe like 2014, 2015, when NXT, this was before they did takeovers on Mania weekend, but they did do a show on Mania weekend. And the main event, I think, it was Charlotte Flair versus Sasha Banks. I think it was those two. It was definitely Flair and someone else. And the crowd were chanting better than Mania. And apparently Vince was furious about this, that there were wrestling fans going to a WWE show and saying, this is better than the product that that I'm supposed to be enjoying. So, like, do you think it is just a case of that they have never liked the fact that NXT was popular?
Honestly, I really just think it was because they lost to AEW.
Yeah.
And in, their mind and Vince's mind, it's like we've never, quote unquote, lost a war, even though they've rewritten history on that end. So personally, I just think that was the reason. And it's like, okay, well, you failed. This clearly isn't working. We got to completely rebrand, which I get it. Like, companies do that all the time, right? Something's not working, let's rebrand. But in this specific case, they didn't need to rebrand the entire thing. Like, literally, like I said, just rewire a couple of things.
Look at Bron Breakker's entrance at New Year's Eve, right?
And even like there's certain things, because I watch NXT 2.0 every week. It's part of my job to cover. There are certain things that I like of NXT 2.0 that could have easily been implemented into the old NXT. You didn't have to kill the brand to incorporate these things. And that's the other thing that I want to talk about too. I did have that interview with Shawn Michaels, and he a whole half-hour conversation where he talks about all the changes that we're seeing in the company and why things were done. And he talks about how it was hard to receive the backlash from the fans, because that, you know, obviously, you know, having been in the company as long as Shawn Michaels has, he's used to, you know, getting, you know, negative feedback, negative stuff, you know, taking heat from the fans and all of that good stuff, right? But he said, like, it was challenging though to have the brand receiving it for like the first time, because for the most part, NXT was loved by the people and had a, you know, a very unique you know, a unique portion of the WWE fan base that were really passionate about the brand. We all know it. We saw the shows. How, you know, we went to the shows. We were there. We experienced it. And so, you know, he talks about that. And I think he also really kind of hammered home the fact that the young talent, that's the vibe I got. Like, he kind of like, I think he felt for the young talent that's coming in here, because he even said, like, these young talents, they got nothing to do with the changes that are happening. They are literally people with dreams of becoming WWE superstars because they grew up as fans or whatever the case may be. And they're just trying to, you know, be part of this. They're trying to entertain you. But because of the changes and because of the reasons why we believe the changes were made, it is hard for the fans to, you know, to get invested in the brand again. And that was another thing that he touched on, where he said, like, you know, we're still, and this is the part that is hard to, obviously now after the releases, you can't really defend this anymore. But he did say, you know, we're still the same NXT. We're still the same people behind it. And then lo and behold, 2 weeks after that, a lot of these people are gone.
Yeah, but I would imagine when he said that at the time, he did think it was going to be the same people.
I'm sure he did.
Oh yeah, because like this clearly, like, we've seen this with all of the releases over the last few months. Scotty Too Hotty was talking about this with Chris Van Vliet when on Insight, which was a really great interview, by the way. I'd highly recommend everyone go and check that out. And Scotty was on there saying that, like, he had a class in the afternoon with his students. And then, like, a few hours later was going home, and some of his students texted him being like, "Oh, thanks for everything." And he was like, "Oh yeah, no, it was a good class, right?" And they're like, "No, we've just been cut." So, like, a lot of these, like, firing decisions are clearly just sort of like, you know, I don't want to say last minute decisions, but they're not like they're
abrupt.
They are abrupt is a very good way to put that, actually. Yeah. So I'd imagine if you're like Shawn Michaels, you know, speaking with you, like, it's the same NXT, it's the same people in charge, and he's probably thinking it's going to be the same people. And then 2 weeks later, an abrupt change is made.
He talked about that too. He talks about, hey, you know, these changes, WWE moves very fast. The second they make a decision, bam, there is somebody on that making sure that that decision gets executed. And so unfortunately, that falls in line too with, you know, the releases and whatnot. That is wild though. Like, that's very unfortunate. Like, 1 second you're like training and the next that person's gone. That's just madness. That's crazy.
And it will be very interesting because Triple H he's obviously not been around because he had his health, he's had his health issues, had his cardiac arrest and things like that. And, you know, and he's still recovering. Best wishes and well wishes to him. So we don't know what his role is in NXT currently. And we're not going to know until he gets back. I suppose maybe we'll get on to Triple H in just a little bit, actually, because the other name that we haven't talked about thus far is Samoa Joe. Because a lot of these people were cut earlier in the week. Like, William Regal was like one of the first big names, and then it was Road Dogg was along with that, and Ryan Katz. Oh man, like the Allison Danger one really sucks. She was only hired in October.
Yeah,
she got fired on her kid's first day at school because she uprooted her family, moved them to Florida for this job, and on her kid's first day in this new school, she loses her job, and now she's got to restart all over again, and that sucks.
It's terrible.
And the other name that came out literally yesterday, within the last 24 hours, is Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe is now, he's been fired twice by WWE within a 9-month period. And Samoa Joe was a guy that WWE released and then Triple H fought to bring back into the NXT fold. And the idea was that he was going to be William Regal's enforcer. He would occasionally do matches, but he was mostly there to be a talent scout. And when Sean reported on these releases earlier in the week, the word was no talent, like in-ring talent, is going to be released. And in NXT's mind, it still isn't, because Samoa Joe wasn't seen as in-ring talent anymore. He was a behind-the-scenes guy. He won the title and they just weirdly stripped it off him just before the 2.0 rebrand, and then that was it. And actually, even guys like Timothy Thatcher and Danny Burch were not considered in-ring talent. They were considered behind-the-scenes coaches now. But what was your reaction to Joe being released?
Well, that's the one that I think everybody saw coming. I think he was even trending, God, like 2 days or the second the releases started happening, like he was already trending because I think people were saying, oh, we'd be surprised if by the end of the night, Samoa Joe is still with the company, et cetera, et cetera. And that was something that Sean reported as well that, hey, we found out the news on Thursday, but it was, God, I think the Performance Center talent found out on Wednesday. And so, I mean, the Samoa Joe thing, damn, it is so hard to kind of comprehend his whole thing because 9 months, Luke, you just became a father. 9 months, you can make a baby, you know?
Oh, yeah. I know. I created a whole life.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And during that period, it's like, you get released from your job twice. Like that's terrible. But okay, so let's talk about the framing of what happened in those 9 months because April was when he got released and everybody was like, what the hell? Like there's so much you can do with Samoa Joe. How did you not find a spot for him? Cool. Triple H fights back for him. He comes back. He is literally the best thing that happened to Karrion Kross when he was champion. You have that NXT TakeOver 36 match. He becomes NXT champion for a third time. And then he has to relinquish the title for an undisclosed injury that I don't think we ever found anything about, right? Like there was never any more details on that.
I thought that was weird. I don't think it was an injury whatsoever. I think they just wanted to
have... it was a work?
I think it was, I 100% believe it was a work. That's just me. That's me personally speculating. I have no idea, but like it never felt, it just felt really weird. And it felt like they wanted to have a new champion crowned on the first episode of 2.0.
Just doesn't make sense. Anyways, so then afterwards, then we don't see him anymore, and then he's gone.
Yeah.
It's like, what? And I think just even looking at that little chunk of, time that we saw, that little chunk that we just described of Samoa Joe, I think that clearly explains, hey, we didn't know what we were doing here. Yeah. No idea. And I got to talk to Samoa Joe too at the SummerSlam weekend when they did the media. Oh my gosh, I keep saying that. The talent tryouts, excuse me. Yeah. And he was, there. Triple H was there. Matt Bloom was there. There were so many different people there scouting the talent. Samoa Joe was just very, very smart and professional and telling me, hey, this is what we're looking for. This is what we're doing. A very we thing. And you don't speak like that unless you're like really embedded in what you're doing. And so going back, I rewatched that interview yesterday to try to find any tidbits or anything interesting from there. And I just couldn't believe that 1 second you go from being so embedded into being part of a project, being a part of something, and then 4 months later, gone.
There was someone posted up on Twitter today, and I think this is kind of stunning, really, because this was only 6 months ago. When you look at what Samoa Joe did when he came back to NXT, he had a program when he was William Regal's enforcer, feuding with Karrion Kross. And the other thing that he did was break up a fight between Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly.
And the girls. Remember, he couldn't control the girls. He was like, stop.
And like now... all gone. Every single person involved in that. And that was 6 months ago. Like that's insane. And two of those people chose to go.
And here's the thing about Samoa Joe, though, is that he's somebody that you could literally put in any position. I mean, and just in WWE, obviously, we saw him as a wrestler. We saw him as a commentator, which everybody loved. He brought that thing. Like, he brought life to commentary on Raw. And, we see him as a freaking enforcer. I'm gonna count the enforcer, scout, etc. Whatever else we didn't see that he did too. I mean, it's when you have somebody that is able to be good in all of those roles, you don't release somebody like that. Luke, let me ask you a question. If you have a staff, right? Mm-hmm. Are you going to let go the person that does one thing, or are you going to let go the person that does like a bunch of stuff? No.
Yeah, I know exactly right. Like, and you can say that about a lot of the people that were released here. Are you telling me that Timothy Thatcher isn't a good hand to have on to train people? You're going to tell me that Danny Burch isn't a good hand to train people? You're going to tell me that you got nothing to do for Road Dogg and William friggin' Regal? Like, you're going to tell me that you're just like, because and like the only reason to let them go is because they're Triple H guys. So there's literally no other explanation for it. And I think that is insane. Even if you are part of this whole, we're rebranding NXT 2.0, we need to move forward with that. You don't think William Regal, who has been a WWE guy for 20 plus years, can't do that job? That's madness. Absolutely madness.
And not only that, Luke, there's one other thing you're forgetting.
What's
He's
that?
a man. Such a man. Such a man. He's a real.
All-time great
I
theme
love
songs.
that song, by the way. I love it. And unfortunately, it's been kind of stuck. It's been unfortunately stuck in my head because of the news, right?
Mm.
It was something that was like, oh, William Regal, bam, in my brain. He's a man. It really sucks.
It was a theme song for my university household. Like, sort of early 2000s, we were like, oh man, do you remember this theme? This is the best theme ever. He's a man. The last thing to mention on Joe as well, this is from Fightful Select. One WWE higher-up said that Joe handled the situation, quote, as professionally as possible. And considering the last few years he's had here, that's easier said than done.
And you don't think he saw it coming too? I mean, he saw it coming probably before anybody else did.
100%. Like, that's what Scotty T. Hardy said. Like, I think Sean reached out to him and Scotty said, like, I saw a lot of this coming. That's why Scotty left. That's what he was saying to Chris Van Vliet. He was like, this isn't fun anymore. There's changes coming. I don't agree with the changes that they're making. The writing is on the wall. I would have been gone anyway. So I made the choice to go. And it's just not. And like Gabe Sapolsky is another guy that I think is gone because he and Triple H were the guys who, like NXT got Evolve because of the relationship that Triple H cultivated with Gabe Sapolsky. And Gabe Sapolsky then came into the fray and sort of like joined upon to the team. But again, Evolve essentially became the NXT for NXT. Evolve is the reason why we had guys like Johnny Gargano in the company, why Ricochet, Timothy Thatcher, Chris Hero, actually on the Matt Riddle is there because of the relationship that Triple H built with Gabe Sapolsky and Evolve.
Yeah, it sucks, man. It's just, I feel like, you're either like, you're good at your job, right? It shouldn't matter. But this happens all the time though. How many times haven't you heard of stories of, hey, this new person's taking over, so all the old people that used to work here are gone? It happens all the time. Anytime there's changes in any company. I'm not just talking about, wrestling or anything like that. I'm talking about like real, I was gonna say real life, but this is real life too. But like our like ordinary people, non-famous people lives, That's
Are you trying to say that we're not amongst those non-famous people?
Okay, I don't know how to describe it.
Oh, you're now 500 people away from 50,000 subscribers. You're like, I'm a celebrity now.
No, I meant like, I don't know what I meant.
So many people.
Yeah, I do know what I meant, but you messed me up.
I'm Denise Salcedo.
I'm here
at this point.
While I'm here, less than 500 followers away from 50K at _ Denise Salcedo. I gotta push. You see, I'm a businesswoman. I'm selling you my Twitter account.
I'm amazed that, like, dude, your Twitter follower numbers have been so impressive over the last few years anyway.
And like, you were making fun of me.
I know, Denise, and you leapfrogged me something fierce. I full credit to you. That was down to your hard work and great tweets like, were you a fan of wrestling in high school? You look at that, it's like 4,000 quote retweets and things like that. I'm like, I don't get anything like this.
I know. You know what's funny? So there's times where I have like thoughts and I'm like, these thoughts are so stupid, but they're funny, right? And I'm like, oh, screw it. They're going up on the Twitter account. Luke, I have to be careful though. There's too much power that comes with a tweet. And it's terrifying. And there's power. You have to, I now have a process too. If I'm unsure about a tweet, I run it by somebody first, and that person will be like, yay or nay, dude. Like, you shouldn't tweet that. All right, cool. Just making sure. Cool.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah, it's
friggin' Spider-Man over here, Spider Denise.
I haven't seen Spider-Man.
I mean, what, any Spider-Man film?
No, like the new one.
You don't have to see the new one. Like, with great power comes great responsibility. It's like, that's ingrained within all the Spider-Man films.
Well, I watched one like 1,000 years ago. We've established this, Luke. We've established this. Although, I will tell you this, though. You have really messed me up.
What have I done now?
So every single dang time that I go on the news or anything that has to do with Tom Holland, immediately Tom Dolland.
Tom Dolland.
It's just there for the rest of my life.
Well, sometimes. I am Luke Owen from Cineworld, and today I'm joined by the stars of Spider-Man No Way Home, Tom Dolland. Sorry, Tom Dolland.
So, Luke, please do not get mad, but I played that clip for my fiance like 100 times, and we just like laughed and died like 1,000 times over.
Oh, and it's absolutely fine. I was talking about it with Dan Layton on the Cineworld podcast, like literally yesterday. And he was like, what happened? I was like, I called him Tom Dolland. And he watched and he was like, why did you do that? And I have to explain the story again and be like, I was in a Zoom call and my webcam wasn't working. Zendaya and all this. And, I got flustered. I called him Tom Dolland.
I loved it. I have the whole science down to your reaction. I could see your like blood pressure rising.
Right, back onto the NXT thing. This is another note actually from Sean's Q&A show where, talking about like those NXT, the NXT 1.0ers that are still there. I think you could probably say that that's, Ciampa, Roderick Strong, Pete Dunne, I suppose. Like, I know they had Eli Drake on the team, but I don't think he really counts. What's it called? LA Knight. Eli
Knight, yeah.
Yeah.
I think they counted him as a
1.0.
Not a 2.0 guy. Yeah.
I feel like that's by default as opposed to. It's not.
He came in like a couple months before. No, more than a couple months though.
Yeah.
Within the last year.
Yeah, but no one looked at Eli Drake and was like, classic NXT Eli Drake right
absolutely there. Absolutely nobody.
But anyway, someone asked about if there were any plans for Tommaso Ciampa and Roderick Strong because they both lost their titles at New Year's Evil. And Sean was like, nope. No plans for them currently, not that he's heard of. This is a direct quote, many within NXT were frustrated. I don't want to say with the treatment of them, but were frustrated with the situation Roderick Strong was put in, that's for sure. Yeah,
man. I think we saw it coming again. As somebody that watches NXT 2.0 every week, immediately, even before, a lot of these people got released or we stopped seeing them on TV or whatever the case was, you watching, you're like, this person doesn't fit in to the brand. They just don't fit in. And it sucks because it's like not their fault, but it's just the way that things change.
God, Diamond Mine as well is a group that has had a lot of changes within its very short period of time that it's had, right?
They honestly, I feel bad, but I was never interested in the Diamond Mine from like day one. I was not interested, but they added the Creed brothers and that made me interested. But then seeing all the changes that have occurred, I'm like, damn, I feel bad for them.
I like Malcolm Bivens. I like Ivy Nile.
I like Malcolm Bivens a whole lot. Ivy Nile, it's like hit or miss still. She's still super green, so I can't say that I'm like OMG about her just yet. But there's obviously she's got a great look and all of that. But I love Malcolm Bivens, and I love the Creed brothers too.
Yeah, Bivens rules. So let's talk about Trips then. Let's talk about Triple H. And I'm not trying to think of how to phrase this question as well, but what do you think is next for Triple H? I saw someone in the chat said that he's likely just going to be involved in the NIL program, but this was something that he was so passionate about, this NXT product. I've been to NXT shows. I was there for NXT London, and the passion that he had for it then, and any interview he did, any media call, he lived and breathed this NXT, and it has been taken away from him. It has been stripped down. It has been taken apart. And he has now not got anything to do with it, seemingly. That sucks, right? So, what do you think is next for Triple H? Are you one of those people that thinks he should go and he should start his own promotion and this and the other? Are you one of those people, or do you think he's just going to take the desk job?
Thinking it and wishing it, two different things. Okay.
Yeah.
Thinking it, I do not think it's going to happen. I think he'll stay with WWE and find something or another to do there. Wishful thinking, I would love to see Triple H start his own promotion. Oh, are you kidding me? I would be so on board. We've already had our arguments, Luke, you and I, about how you feel about Triple H and how I feel about Triple H. And I get it. Obviously, as a wrestler and a booker, you see two different things. I get it.
100%. I have never seen a Triple H match that I loved.
Okay, see? And I'm polar opposite.
With the exception of the Cactus Jack match at Royal Rumble 2000. Every other Triple H match I've seen is the same match every single time. But as a promoter and as a booker, can't argue with NXT 1.0. It ruled.
Okay, so that's what I'm getting at. All right. So polar opposite, because I love Triple H even prior to him doing the NXT stuff and all of that. So like I just feel like, and that's the thing too. And I wanted to tweet this out, but I didn't. And I just kind of wanted to talk about, just the, growing up a Triple H fan and being a fan of his work throughout the years and kind of see him, flourish into this new, businessman and doing all of this and then doing all this stuff with NXT. Like it was cool to see, especially as somebody that was a fan of his work. So kind of to see that evolution of Triple H for me was very cool. And now to see what has happened of that creation as a creator myself, obviously it's not to the level of, creating an NXT, but, as a creator, I just can't imagine. I mean, God, if someone took my YouTube channel tomorrow, I would be completely devastated. Devastated, right? And it's like, I can't imagine having that taken away from you. At the end of the day, I'm assuming it sucks. It just sucks, all right? And not only that, the people that you worked with. And you don't think, I mean, I would kind of feel, not only would I feel bad, but I would feel embarrassed too. And that's what sucks as well, because you look, let's say you promise people, hey, you're going to have a job for life here. And then all of a sudden, the rug gets swept from underneath you and you no longer can help protect these people's jobs. How would you feel in that situation?
I was going to say, it almost feels like, and I'm only mentioning this now because I've just started watching the show, but like Kendall Roy in Succession, like the very first episode of Succession is like, Kendall Roy is going to be the kid that's going to take over from us. Like he is going to take over from me when I step down. And the first episode is all about him being like, no, you're not. Absolutely no, you're not. You're actually going like further down to the back of the line and the other. Kind of like, it really feels like that was it for Trips. Like this is your training wheels to see if you can take over this one day. And it didn't work out. And I now feel like he's never getting that job. He's never going to be that guy that runs WWE. If anyone's doing it, it's Nick Khan or it's Bruce Pritchard.
And that's the thing too. It's like, come on, there's got to be politics behind there. There's got to be people whispering in Vince's ear saying this and that and this and that. And, I'm just assuming, okay? Like, this is just me assuming, all right? Like, I've seen enough dramas to understand the way this stuff works. But no, I did want to say something else, and I completely okay, here we go. This is another thing that we need to talk about. You mentioned him not being put in this position anymore. Why? Because in Vince's eyes, it was a failure, right? He didn't succeed at the job that he was supposed to do. Then you're basically telling the world, you're sending the world a bad message by saying now we're getting rid of his entire team and completely dismantling everything he built. You're sending a negative message out there about this person's work and this person's creation versus, more of a celebratory thing where it's like, you know what, this was phenomenal, but you know what, we're changing. We're going a different way, but God, we love the old NXT.
Yeah.
We didn't get that.
No. This whole thing was designed to be like that old version it's gone. Forget about it. It's done. Look at the new shiny thing and focus only on the new shiny thing.
Yeah, and this whole thing, like, I do think that this whole Nick Khan thing, like, this whole Nick Khan period, it's really setting I think we're gonna see the effects of this. I mean, we're already seeing the effects of it now, but I think we're going to be seeing the effects even more so of this period in a couple of years. Yeah. Because WWE went from the place of, hey, that's the dream, people want to work there, to now it's like, well, yeah, it'd be cool, but is my job safe?
100%. I mean, like, we sort of briefly skipped over Allison Danger, Kathy Carino. Like,
and there's more people. There's more people that uprooted their life. She's not the only one. There's more.
Not the only one who uprooted her life to move to this job and then got fired just a few months later. Quite a few. It's happened to a few people within NXT within the last year or so, and it sucks. And it's funny as well. Like so Chris Van Vliet also spoke with Freddie Prinze Jr. recently, and Freddie Prinze Jr. was talking on that show that a friend of his at Fox was talking about that a few years ago, WWE were trying to get Fox to buy them. And I think a lot of Nick Khan's moves here are all about that now. Like, this was before Nick Khan was as part of the company, but everything that Khan has done since really does feel like we are moving towards a sale of WWE. Whether that happens this year, whether it happens in 5 years' time, I don't know. But it clearly is something that WWE have wanted to do for a while.
Yeah, but I think it's also making the brand look bad.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Makes everything look
And I
real
don't think,
bad.
I mean, I'm not really like looking to see what people are saying in regards to this, but this is something that I feel like I haven't really seen people talk about how this is going to affect the company in the future.
Yeah, right. Like, and like the morale, like, and
Yeah.
whether you want to go and work that. Like, I guess if you're part of the NIL program, you probably feel like you're more safe because you're not an indie darling. I think if you're an indie darling that's working there, then yeah, you probably are like, my days are numbered. I don't even know why I'm still here. But if you're part of the NIL program, then you're probably like, I'm probably more safe than anyone else.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing, like, let's say you're that indie darling, right? You're blowing up in the indies. Oh my God, you're so special. You're going to be a star. You get an offered contract by WWE. You go to WWE. They don't use you. You waste 2 years of your life there. And then you come back out and it's like all these other people have come and now are the new indie darlings. And now they're doing this and that and they're, killing it. And you're like, damn, I got to start from square one again and build myself up all over again. And it's like now I feel more people are seeing that and thinking, well, is this the right way for me to go about things? Because any moment I could go risk my future. And then all of a sudden, times pass me by, other people have become stars, and I'm left out in the dust.
Just before we move into the Ultrachats, I do want to point out as well that I like more than one Triple H match. I think he's had a lot of really good matches.
Were you getting drama in the chat over that?
No, I was just thinking about it. Like I said that, and then I was thinking about it. I was like, I also really like that his Undertaker Hell in the Cell match, and actually the WrestleMania match before that. And there was the Shawn Michaels match at SummerSlam. That was really good. Oh, the tag match with him and Austin versus Benoit and Jericho. That was like really, really good. So every now and again, you're like, I could think of like 5 or 6 other Triple H matches that I really liked.
You see, Lick, I'm rubbing off on you.
Said the actress to the bishop. Anyway, let's get into your Ultrachats. Thank you all for joining in the conversation. You can do so too at WrestleTalk.com/support. James Hanley, and go and follow Denise Salcedo. She is less than 500 followers away from 50K. Have you got an update for us?
No, I was actually going right now. It's still less. It's like 420.
Okay, well, there's nearly 2,000 people that are watching this stream, so surely not all of you are following Denise Salcedo, so go and do her a favor. James Hanley, also, it's a great feed to follow. Very, very good for wrestling coverage. James Hanley said, Vince's narcissism will not allow him to acknowledge any weakness. NXT is a loser's brand. Doesn't matter that it made money for the company or had a fan base, it lost, and therefore, if you like it, you're a loser too. That's how narcissists think. In fairness, though, James Hanley, NXT also never made any money. I think that's the other portion of it. It was always a money-losing brand. But like the idea was, it's okay because you get stars out of the back of it. You get future WrestleMania main eventers out of the back of it. So yes, it did always lose money, but it also had a big fan base. Who's just followed you?
Somebody named Kurt. So I was making sure to say thank you. I'm just seeing them as they pop in. Oh, thank you, Felicity.
All right, we're not having a running tally. We got some.
Continue on. I'm just here.
William Banter said NXT went around 800 to 900,000 viewers to 500K plus. These changes to a brand that wasn't perceived as a success makes me wonder what that company's definition is. Even from a business and number standpoint, everyone is suffering and it's inexcusable. Hashtag we are NXT. William, I would imagine their rationale for the fact that the numbers they're getting now aren't even as good as the numbers NXT 1.0 are getting is like, well, it's early doors. You know, we've got to find our fan base, even if that fan base median age is 62.
That's bad.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, and I feel bad, but every time I share my like YouTube demo, everybody puts like nobody from NXT is watching you.
I know. No one from NXT watches like ours. And that's why.
What is your demo? Is it like around like the same? Like so 25 to 35?
Oh yeah, 100%. In fact, I can tell you exactly what it is because I was doing this just the other day. But like our NXT numbers are always, it's the least watched show. And I always thought it was like, yes, because no one really cares about NXT, unfortunately. But actually, now that you mention it, oh yeah, it actually just makes sense. It's because the average NXT viewer age isn't watching our YouTube channel.
I think my 55 plus or 65 plus, one of them is 0.3, and then one of them is like 0.1 of my viewership.
Yeah. Let me get it for you. Where is it? Oh, no, I'm in the right folder. 1 second. I'll do another chat while I'm searching for this. Mayor of Paintsville Dan, hey Dan, said, hello, internet. I hope everyone does well. Because I am doing well, I've gone numb to WWE Releases and their entire product because of it. How can you release Regal, though? Can't wait to watch Burch and Thatcher in WXW. Big plus for the indie scene. I cannot wait for Stone and Thatcher to be back on the UK independent circuits.
What do you think is going to happen with NXT UK? There's somebody that was posting a joke, and I know it's a joke, right? But I don't even want to say it. Have you seen the joke that has been going around about why people from NXT UK haven't been released?
Is it because that Vince doesn't actually know that it's a thing?
No, because
that was always my theory.
No, somebody posted, and I've seen it every time there's releases. There's the one, it's a joke about John Laurinaitis. I don't want to say it on the air, though.
Okay. Yeah, let's not, though.
But I've seen it, and I was like, stop it. Stop it. But every time it comes up, it kind of gets funnier, Luke. Yeah. I think some people have seen it.
I was talking about this on the prediction show. NXT UK is going to survive because it costs them they pay their talent so little money, it doesn't affect the bottom line for WWE. Just to confirm, 90% of our audience is 18 to 44. So we have got no one in that demographic. Chant 25. I'm beyond being baffled or confused by these releases. It makes no sense. It never made any sense. As easy as it is to demonize WWE, they sure seem to feed into it. It's god awful from every angle. This company just doesn't cut it anymore.
And it sucks because I feel like, oh God, I don't know. I don't want WWE to fail. And I know I'm going to sound like a shill, and I've already been called a shill, so it's okay. It's just I don't want the company to fail. I want them to do good because when they do good, I'm happy and it's entertaining. And, that's how I became a fan, period. I grew up a WWE fan. I
don't think anyone really wants the company to fail.
Oh, there's people out there, Luke. Have you not gone on the internet?
Well, I know, but they're the same people. But on the other side of the coin, I want AEW to go down. Someone legit tweeted me, the real I've got a big thought about this. After Tony Khan's tweet about Big Swole, and I was like, oh, that was ill-advised. That was a very
that was very dramatic. There was no winning that.
There really wasn't. Anyway, I was like, that was a very unprofessional thing to tweet. Someone tweeted me being like, wrestling fans don't deserve AEW. They should just shut the company down because wrestling fans don't deserve it. And I'm like, man, A, calm down. But B, those are the sort of people that also want AEW to fail. And they want WWE to fail. And they want Ring of Honor to fail. And they want, no one hates wrestling more than wrestling fans. C or just Chance 25. Oh no, I just did that one. Punk Rocks and Soda. Samoa Joe is about to roll up to AEW like it's Ring of Honor 2003. These are some of the best people you want backstage for what the company does. It baffles me that people can still support them, and I feel like we're drifting closer to South Park's WWE parody. On that, the Fightful Select report on Samoa Joe is that he is most likely going to be an in-ring competitor outside of WWE. Within WWE, it was never going to happen. He was never going to get cleared. He will get cleared elsewhere, and he will be wrestling. And it's so mad as well. We had a wild prediction that came in on our prediction show that said that one of Ring of Honor's biggest shows this year will be headlined by Samoa Joe versus CM Punk. And I was like, nah, it's never going to happen. It actually now could happen.
Be careful, Luke. Be careful. A lot of stuff that we thought was never going to happen happened.
I know, right?
There's no more saying never say never. That thing's legit, man.
Kenji Letters says, Vince McMahon is a dreamweaver. Vision. This is wonderful because I would wager there are going to be about 5 people in this chat that are going to understand this. Vince McMahon is a dreamweaver, visionary, plus sports entertainer, and we are all in his dark place. By the way, today is my birthday. Hope you guys have a great 2022. Love the WrestleTalk family. I can't describe how much you guys helped me through all of these years. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday.
I thoroughly appreciated that reference. The Guilty Hats. If I had a nickel for every time WWE fired Samoa Joe, I'd have 2 nickels, which it is a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice, right? We're less than 400 now.
Yeah, we're less than 400.
Hey, there's still, 2,000 people watching this stream. Riot DR, William Regal has literally been given everything on and off camera. I will never understand how you can get rid of someone with those credentials. On a random note, the NIL system doesn't feel promising. It also reminds me of a Slipknot song. I don't know how you can say that it doesn't feel promising. It's literally only just kicked off.
I don't hate the idea of the next in line program. Again, I think there are certain ideas that are good, but you just can't dump all your other ideas. I'm interested in the nil program. I'm
Yeah,
interested.
I'm curious to see what comes out of it. Like,
Yeah.
there may be some like really good. It's not like, former NFL players like going into wrestling are a bad thing. I've got a lot of really good wrestlers have come from that background.
I mean, obviously not everybody's going to be good, right?
No.
But hey,
Did you see, like, they signed like 1,500 people. They were like advertising them on Raw. Like, they had that sort of rolling. Look at all these people that we signed to the NIL program. I'm like, I mean, at least 2 of them could probably be good.
yeah, probably 2 of them, maybe even 1. We'll see. We probably won't even see a lot of these people make debuts or anything like that. So who knows what'll happen.
Although one of my big wild predictions for this year is that Gable Steveson is going to win the US Championship at SummerSlam this year.
Dude, he's been drafted to Raw like 1,000 years ago.
Exactly. And he's going to win the US title at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Omar Jose says, I feel like I can't support this product anymore. Anyway, because I can't see any justification for the firings of the most brilliant minds in the business just because they were part of the first and superior version of a product. I know both will be fine, but Jesus. Ten Ruzza, hey guys, I hope Regal and Joe go do some New Japan shows. Great names to build the US expansion, and Joe in the Tokyo Dome, yes please. Have no sympathy for anyone who re-signs with the company. Also Nakamura for the New Japan 50th anniversary, please. Oh, I would love it if you could, but I don't think that's ever going to happen.
I like how you were like, oh, I'd love it if you could.
I would love it if
very nice.
It would be nice, wouldn't it? He wants to do it, and it'd be a lovely little gift to give to Shinsuke Nakamura to go let him go and do that one show.
Hey, remember when you said bless his cotton socks?
Yeah.
I've been using it now. I've used it at least twice in my normal life. I'll be like, oh, bless their cotton socks.
Bless their cotton socks. Maurice Robinson. Most of the main roster are NXT members. Seth Rollins was the first NXT champ. He's a Triple H guy. He is NXT. It's very true, actually. Like, if you've gone to the main roster, you've more or less got away with a lot of that sort of the tarnishing of the. But even so, like, a lot of NXT guys that went up to the main roster have also been released. Like, there's only a handful of what I was trying to think of how many NXT champions are still in WWE.
There was a list. Somebody posted it.
Yeah,
there was
like Owens,
4
Zayn,
people
Balor,
or 5 left.
Yeah, Owens, Balor, Zayn, Big E, and Rollins are names I can think of. I can think of 5. Bo, I know, obviously Bo's gone. Karrion Kross is gone. Cole's gone. Gargano's gone. Ciampa's obviously still there, but he's not on the main roster. Black's gone. Andrade's gone. Yeah, there's not a lot of them left.
No, there isn't.
Jesse Pina said Vince feels backed into a corner with the rise of AEW, so he's going back to golden era characters to squash the competition like in the territory days. If WWE would let the main roster shine and be themselves, WWE wouldn't have to worry about numbers. That's not necessarily true. I do think that the casual WWE audience that is paying to go and see WWE shows, and I would say that it probably means then the majority of the people that are watching it on a weekly basis aren't us. They aren't us here on the internet. They aren't us here on YouTube. They aren't us here in chats talking about this sort of stuff. They're just watching the product and enjoying the product. I made this point with on a Raw podcast, and a certain YouTuber took me to task for it, in fact. But there was
that drama, Luke?
Oh yeah, this was a few months back. It was hilarious. Like, he went on an absolute tear because I won't say it because people. Yeah, I won't say it. I'll tell you later.
Okay.
That he went on a massive tear about it. You could probably, I mean, most people could probably guess who it was. And it's because I'd said that, like, AJ and Amos had this tag match. And I think it was again, I can't remember who even was against now. Bobby Lashley. It was like Bobby Lashley and someone else, right? And Amos got tagged in and the place went bananas. And I was like, it's because he's tall. It's because he's big and he's been well protected. Like, that casual audience there is well into the idea of Amos. Am I into the idea of Amos? Absolutely not. He can't even have a good... AJ Styles couldn't even get a good match out of him. So I got zero interest. The casual audience see that guy and it's like, God dang, look how tall that guy is. And they're going to watch and they're going to tune in to see what he does next. And I think he will be a WWE champion at some point. And the point I made was Adam Cole wouldn't have got that same reaction from the crowds, from that crowd in particular.
I think one of the things that I've personally learned from the internet crowd and the live event crowd is that the live event, like the people that you're seeing, your casuals, right? Like I think a lot of them are definitely aware of, what's going on and, all the behind the scenes type stuff and all of that. But also a lot of them are legitimately just in every sense of the word, casual. They go to the shows and, they're looking for an entertaining show. If it's something sucks, they're not going to react. If something is cool, they're going to react. Like, for example, a perfect example of that is Goldberg. The internet audience hates Goldberg, but then he goes to the show, and for the most part, like, as long as it's not terrible, he definitely gets a positive reaction. And if you notice, a lot of the people that get these positive reactions are, more of the nostalgic people. Like you Edge always gets a great reaction. Randy Orton always gets a great reaction. Why? Because these people are already known and they have already made names for themselves. So the casuals are aware. And even if, let's say, I don't know, somebody's not necessarily in a hot program, the audience will react to it because regardless, they know this person and they know that the person is a star, so they're going to react. I do think that especially having gone to a lot of events, it is different to see like what people like and what people don't like. And in regards to Amaz, I think there were some moments where I thought Amaz was going to get over, but in recent times, when he just pinned AJ Styles, I think, what was it, last week on Raw?
Yeah, it was on
no
Raw.
Reaction, dead silence. Nobody cared. And I do think that Adam Cole would have gotten a reaction only if they would allow him to, get over. If you allow somebody to get over, it doesn't matter how big or how small you are or how many muscles you do or do not have, you will succeed if you're allowed to show who you are. I think, and it's hard to say, but I really do think that whoever you are, if you have personality, if you have charisma, if you have star power, it doesn't matter what size you are, but if they allow you to, be that person, then the audience will react.
Do you want a good example and a good sort of like a thing to say as well? People like it's the same audience. Like, who's going to get one of the biggest reactions from a live show at a WWE crowd? Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon comes out, he's going to get a huge pop from this crowd. If you ask like the people watching this chat now, or the people like sending in Ultrachats, people who like sending me stuff on Twitter, they don't like Vinnie Mac because Vinnie Mac fired 160 people over 2 years and he let 500 more go backstage and this, that, and the other. He is like, let people lose their jobs. He goes on TV, he's going to get a massive reaction from that crowd.
Also, I feel like we still have to also talk about the fact that so many of these people that, watch the product aren't necessarily on social media.
No, I don't think they are. And if they are, they're the ones who will respond to those WWE accounts being like, believing that they are, real people.
Right. Or maybe they're, I don't know, on Facebook or Instagram. And let's be real. Like, I feel like unless you're on Twitter, you don't really get, or like on message boards, you really don't get to see like what people's like opinions really are. Like on Instagram, yeah, I'm sure you will see it, but it's not to the level of, if you're tweeting something. And I remember, so prior to me actually, doing this job, I wasn't on Twitter. I mean, I had a Twitter account, but I didn't really tweet about wrestling. I tweeted about wrestling on Facebook where like my mom saw and I got like 5 likes. I wasn't on there, spreading my agenda or my thoughts, but I was going to all the shows. I was watching all this stuff. I was a fan. I just wasn't out there tweeting,
Yeah.
There's more people, like not millions, but there's probably a bunch.
I mean, I would say I still do believe that the large portion of people who watch Monday Night Raw on a weekly basis are not watching these shows or are not like on Twitter talking about how they don't like the product. Anyway, Travis Griffin says, my bold prediction for 2022 is that Triple H and Steph are going to sell all of their stock and use that money to buy Ring of Honor and run that. So, we'll certainly see.
Hey, this is the year to make bold predictions.
I know, right? On the subject of AEW, Sense of a Wookiee said the AEW roster has over 100 male and just over 20 female wrestlers. With all the free agents around, what female talent would you like to see on Dynamite Rampage? Ember Moon, number 1 for me, please.
Yep, very incredibly talented. I got to see her at Mission Pro. That was pretty cool.
Oh, nice.
But yeah. Obviously, she's definitely somebody that I would definitely agree with. Who else do we got right now that's a free agent for the women?
Oh, I mean, well, like
I feel like a lot of them. I feel like sorry,
Slamovich, like she was doing some like amazing work in Impact. Lady Frost.
No, she's with Impact now, like officially.
No, oh, she actually officially signed with them.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure if because
she made her debut last night, actually.
No, I know, but I wasn't sure if it was just like a pay-per-appearance thing as opposed to like.
No, I think she signed. Yeah.
Oh right, okay. No, I take that back then. I mean, actually,
I think I'm pretty sure. Let me make sure.
Nav right here just said Tony Storm. And yeah, she'll be a free agent soon enough. There's a bunch of people out there. I went on a bit of a tear about this on the AEW review yesterday about the fact that there is only still one women's match on an AEW show, and I still think that's insane. But also, like, yeah, when you write it down like that AEW have over 100 men on their roster and just over 20.
She is signed.
Oh, she is signed. Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. Taya Valkyrie is another good shout from the chat there as well. The AdNap too. I feel like every time we get a wrestling alternative, something eventually ruins it. WCW was an alternative, but then the bubble burst. TNA was great until they hired Hogan. NXT was great, but now WWE have torn it apart. I'm paranoid for AEW. I wouldn't be paranoid about AEW. I'm sure like they'll be fine. They have got a hardcore fan base. In the same way that WWE has got a hardcore fan base, they'll be okay because they'll still be they'll buy the merchandise, they'll buy the tickets, they'll buy the pay-per-views.
We got to root for someone, right?
Legit Underboss said, I would love to see William Regal in AEW managing Cole and Red Dragon or Bryan Danielson. I do you know what? I would love to see another William Regal match. Like if Regal was really up for it, I would love to see another Regal match. I was such a mark for William Regal when I was a kid. Such a mark. I mean, maybe it's just because he's English and he's from Blackpool, which is awesome. It's the Las Vegas of the North.
You're like, that could be me when I grow up.
I just thought he was such a fun heel, like such a great heel. And I just absolutely I thought he was wonderful. And I would love to see him back on. I'd love to see him have another match. Oh, someone said Maurice Robinson. Most of the main roster has come through NXT, especially the female division. That is true. Oh, I actually also want to say someone else pointed out Drew McIntyre, former NXT champion that's still on the main roster. Thank you very much. That's one I didn't think of. Jared Hazelwood, what do you think are the top 5 world titles not in WWE, NXT, or AEW? I ask because I think there are a few hard cuts to be made within a top 5 now, and a sign of how amazing the business is. Top 5 world titles not in WWE or AEW. So I guess you probably IWGP.
Yeah.
World title.
I would probably also suggest I would agree with that.
Yeah, like I think that's like the biggest one.
Yeah.
I would say that is the biggest world title outside of it because I think you can possibly make the argument for the Impact world title, but I don't.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even know where my brain was at. For some reason, I thought we had already included that. That's why I didn't even think of it. I was like, yeah, it's included.
Yeah, I think you can make the argument for the Impact title.
Of course.
Triple A Mega Championship. I think you can make the argument for, yeah. Yeah, I think there's quite a few out there you could do. Andrew Adame, can you and Denise quickly talk about petrol/gas prices? Where I live in Sacramento, it's $4.15 a gallon or £3 in the UK. And that's just unleaded gas. P.S. Have you seen the Selena movie? I have to bring that up again.
Did you watch it?
I still have not seen it, no.
Luke, I can't with you anymore.
Don't roll your eyes at me. I haven't seen. I've got a kid now. I ain't got time to watch shows and films and stuff.
Oh, come on. You can be like feeding the kid and be watching a movie. You're telling me you haven't watched one movie since the kid was born?
In bits, yes. It took us
you can at least watch Selena in bits.
But like when I'm working, it's so much harder. Like I had a day off and that's how I was able to do it. We have genuinely tried to get through the last episode of Succession. I'm about like halfway through series 2 of it. And it's taken us 3 nights to watch one episode of that show because we're watching it in 10, 12-minute chunks.
I got to tell you, Luke, you're not making me very excited about going into motherhood in the future.
Oh, it's delightful. TV's overrated anyway.
Yeah, no, I can't agree with that.
Anyway,
babies or TV, that's the option.
So this was from the AEW podcast yesterday because me and Pete were talking about petrol prices here in the UK. What do you have any opinions on gas prices in LA?
Please, I live in California, Southern California. Gas is very expensive here. It's like, yeah, it's very expensive. I think we're close to $5 right now. And in some areas, obviously more than other areas.
Also, £3 for petrol. That'd be amazing. It's $4.50 at the moment, $4.55. And lastly, Garrett Rogers said, what do you guys think about Wardlow versus Punk on Dynamite next week? I think Wardlow should win. He always loses these have to beat the muscle to fight the boss matches. He gains a lot by winning. It throws the winner of Punk into versus MJF in doubt and raises tensions between Wardlow and MJF.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I think for me, Garrett, like it is, if your big match is Punk versus MJF, I don't think I'd be having Punk take a pinfall loss leading into that. Like that for me is just not, that is not a logical sound thing to do.
Because then let's say it's supposed to be MJF. It's not going to mean as much if Wardlaw already did it.
Exactly right. Like if MJF is trying to be the first guy to pin Punk, like I know there are people that are, saying, oh, it's going to be like MJF is going to cause the DQ, so the Punk has got a loss. I think, like, for me, like the MJF character wants to be the guy that gives Punk the first loss, not like just by doing the DQ thing. So I think he will want to win. I would wonder if they rerun the DQ thing, but he gets Wardlow DQ'd. And or something along those lines. Like I haven't really thought that far ahead, but I would think that for me, I want Punk going up against MJF with both of them like not taking pinfall losses leading into it.
Yeah, I second that.
Yeah, or even like losses going into it. I know MJF's got the DQ loss, but I think that's just part of the storyline to set up the idea. We've got one more chat that's just come through from the Sheldon show that says, first time Ultrachats. With WWE announcing Walter's last match in NXT UK, do you see the move as a sign of bigger things or a way to write him out? Given I don't know where Walter fits into the new NXT or main roster, love you guys. Keep up the great work. It's been pointed out by quite a few people that Walter has trimmed down a lot. And
he has actually.
Like he looks in much better shape now than he did when he was in that ill thought out Survivor Series match where he was eliminated in like 90 seconds. As the NXT UK champion and as Walter of all people to be eliminated within 90 seconds. And like, if you're working for Vince McMahon, you do need to have a good body because otherwise he'll just put you in a t-shirt or a vest like he did for Keith Lee or Damo. So I think that him trimming down and getting into much better shape is actually probably a good sign for him and his future in, because he's going to be there for a little while, I think.
I hope so. I mean, I love Walter, so I'll take him wherever, he can be.
Walter rules. We are now less than 360 followers away from 50K for Denise Salcedo. Where can people go and follow you?
@ Denise Salcedo. I'm very easy to find.
Yes, you are. What have you got coming up? What would you like to plug?
Honestly, really just my show, Speak Now Pro Wrestling on F4W Online, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I'm pretty much there every single week. I got plenty of shows. That's honestly really what I want to plug. And obviously I do a bunch of stuff everywhere else. So please just go to my Twitter account because I promote every single thing there. YouTube.com/Denise Salcedo. If you do want to check out that interview with Shawn Michaels, please check it out. That was the biggest interview that I got last year. And it was a tremendous interview. If you haven't checked it out, please do. YouTube.com/Denise Salcedo.
I'm also going to give a huge plug. The Fightful Raw post show. It's my favorite Raw review to listen to on a weekly basis. I think you and Sean do an amazing job on that. So everyone, I would highly recommend that everyone go and check out the Raw post show because you do it directly after the show. And you're the only people that are doing it these days.
We're the only ones left. I know.
Everyone else, like me.
Like immediately afterwards, obviously.
Exactly.
Other people do it, but
me and Ollie and going in Raw, like we wait till the day after, but you guys are directly there. And I think it's always a really, really fun show, even if Sean does bully you a lot.
Oh, I get bullied a lot. And then I do like one thing wrong and it's like, ooh. There's so much drama on that show.
It's delightful.
But it's definitely a show that a lot of people love, I think.
Oh, yeah. I think it's great. And anyway, that's all from us here at the WrestleTalk Podcast channel. Pete and Tempest are back tomorrow reviewing SmackDown and Rampage. Roman Reigns is back on the SmackDown show today. And more importantly, Hook is on Rampage. So everyone should go and watch that because I think it's going to be a fun time. Big Hooker here. I just bought Hook's t-shirt. Thank you all so much for watching. We will see you over the weekend and we'll see you next week. Take care. I love you, everyone. Goodbye. Jam that jam.